And my wife thinks I can't read 2 books a week, basically 104 books in a year. And somebody questioned me on this and said, no, look, Kit, you can't say that you're reading 104 books unless you're physically reading them. So, okay, so fine. I guess I mean consuming 104 books, because yes, I am using a lot of Audible, because it's just the only way that I can have any of the time to, do all the things that I do. I've got 2 young children. They take up a lot of time. And we were having a discussion about what is the difference between reading physically and listening to an audiobook. And I think there is a massive distinction. I'm still happy enough to call that reading, because you're consuming a book, and a book has been written in a different way to, let's say, a podcast or a live stream or a YouTube video or even an article of any sort in a magazine. A book has been written to be a self-contained kind of unit, a line of thought from first page to final page. It should be of a much higher quality than those other things. And certainly, I've spent hours planning this today, and I've spent hours and hours and hours researching it and finding out and thinking about all my sort of conclusions about these devices. But a book is more than that. It's much deeper than that. And I've got a few projects books that are almost kind of finished, and it's just like, well, they need much more. They need days, they need weeks, even though they are full size and they're manuscripts that have got enough words to publish. They aren't done yet. They're going to take revising and polishing and making absolutely right. So consuming 104 books is still, I think, a pretty high aim and a pretty lofty challenge really for me. But one of the things I was thinking about the difference between actually physically reading and listening is you're less inclined to sort of pause and think, oh yeah, that reminds me of that thing. And actually I could use that kind of idea in this part of my work, or I could, I could use this idea in my creative thing, or actually that's a different way of thinking about something that I hadn't thought about. You're less inclined to sort of think, oh, what does that mean for me when you're listening to something? But actually, you can just press pause and do that bit of thinking. And actually what I do at a point where I can't write something down, well, I press pause and I open up Otter and I transcribe my thoughts, and I actually make that little note to myself. And that's really quite good as well. So I do think that consuming 104 books, even though I think it's going to turn out the majority are going to be audiobooks, probably 2/3 at least will be audiobooks in the end. Who knows? I'll get a bit more leisure time in the summer and I'll try and fire through some actual paper books and more Kindle and things like that. But what have I read just recently? And so I think I'm on 13 so far in this year, and we've got, I should be on 16. I've had 2 months. I should be on at least 16. So I'm a little bit behind. I was really, through January, I'd done 9, I think. And now it's been a bit slower. I read something that was really quite long, Mythos by Stephen Fry, which was okay. Like, it's good to just go through all of the kind of Greek mythology and Roman mythology up to a certain point. And, it was well written, but it wasn't astoundingly well written. It's not like Madeline Miller, Galatea, which I read recently, and I read all of her stuff. Galatea was a really interesting one because it's kind of feminist standpoint on the Pygmalion myth, which I thought was excellent. You just straight in there with her characters. Stephen Fry, interesting, but it's like a really extended episode of QI, really. Some really interesting anecdotes in there as well. And I also read Outliers, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Flip, which is Mark Manson. And they were Mark Manson book, not all that great, not all that illuminating. Outliers, excellent. And I'm currently just finishing off 10x is Easier Than 2x, which is Dan Sullivan. And also, I think since I spoke to you last, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success I've read, which was absolutely fantastic. That's one that I'll revisit as well. That's the reading thing. So I'm a bit behind the schedule with that, but I'm going to pick up the pace again soon.